So Nick, I'd like to have you take a look at my plane. So, where'd you go?
This thing is massive. Look at me, you can't even see me behind it. What compelled you? I mean, you built a Connie last time, but this is huge. Look at the size, look folks, look at the size of this thing. I mean, this thing is, how many feet is this thing?
This is about 12.5 feet long.
Wow.
And it would make a good canoe for a little
definitely.
while, as long as it stayed floating.
Exactly. Now, this is obviously a total different plane. It's also, once again, a military transport.
Yes, yes. It was around the same era as the Connie, and it has a wingspan of 200 inches. The original plane was meant to haul troops and cargo in the 1950s, 60s, and it was phased out in the early 70s. Primarily used to haul troops and supplies to Vietnam and to other countries. The plane was rather unaffectionately known as Old Shaky because when it was flying, everything was rattling.
Now, I noticed that you have doors in the front that open up,
yes.
And that's where the tanks would go,
right.
Jeeps and all that.
And loading and even troop loading. They would load
They
from
would
the
come
front.
in
Sure.
through there?
Yeah.
There's
sure.
a ramp and everything?
Yep.
Now, I noticed you had a little guy popping up on top of the roof earlier.
Yep. Every time he gets airsick, he pops up and has to relieve himself. It's a little feature. You got to have a sense of humor in this hobby. At least my wife tells me that. If you look inside, and when we open the doors, you'll see that the inside is essentially hollow. The main weight is in the wings because of the structure of the engines and the main spar and the landing gears. That's where the weight is.
Now, where's the fuel storage on this one? Is it in the wings like the real one, or is it more in the center
in the
of the
wings.
It's in the wings?
But there are 4 separate fuel tanks, one for each engine.
Wow. So
Yeah.
that's where it compensates the weight from the middle of the body, I guess, a little bit more, too.
Yeah, a little bit more, yeah. Larger airplanes are easier to fly, and they're easier because you can't scale the molecules of air that you're dealing with. And so when you get a bigger plane, it flies closer to the real one. The littler planes are a lot more nervous and for me, as an old guy, harder to fly.
One door closes at a time.
This plane has about 20 horsepower, which is almost twice as much as any of my other 4-engine airplanes.
So what's the weight to power ratio on it then?
A lot. I don't know what it is, but it's a lot better than some of my other underpowered planes. This plane will take off in a relatively short distance.
Okay, folks, Carl's just getting ready for the military air transport service plane to get up in the air. He's just doing the final checks here. He's going to be starting up the motors in a second. And then we're going to get some air time up there. Be quiet now. He's got to concentrate. Here it comes. He's bringing her in nice and slow. Nope. He did a balanced landing. There's a big hush in the crowd. Everybody's watching. They can't take their eyes off this one. Here he comes. And look at that. Look at that. He saved her. That was a beautiful landing.
Went on the nose when it ran out of air.
Yeah, let's get that grass off. Great. So back in one piece, that's all that counts. And there you have it, folks. That was a great flight. He had a little bit of technical difficulties with the landing gear getting stuck inside, but there's a pro pilot. MAC rules here in Canada, nice and safe. We're in the middle of the field. The audience is far away. And that's what it's all about, folks. It's all about safety and skill. Next week, we're heading up to Sudbury to see some real cool scale planes. Also, we got more rock crawling in next week's episode, and we're going to be meeting up with one of our buddies, one of the best RC photographers, Palmer, and you'll be seeing some cool nitro boats at the National.
RCTV is brought to you in part by Great Hobbies, great service, great selection, great prices. Glorks, Great Lakes Off-Road Championship Series, and OffRoadRC.ca, Canada's premier RC site.